Hi folks, welcome to Sacred Earth Essentials. My name is Stephanie and I'm your hostess. So today's episode of Plant of the Day. Today is the first in a series of episodes that I'll be providing for you for free over the next month. And this is not an extensive get to know every single little detail about a plant. This is more of a meet and greet. This is an opportunity for me to introduce my favorite plants to you through the World Wide Web. And I know that I grew up in a family that did not practice herbalism, and that I still encounter more people than I realized, who aren't familiar with the simple, delicious, and effective method that traditional plant medicine has to offer us. It might seem a little intimidating to some at first, so I'm here to ease that process for you and to introduce you to the wonderful world of plants, the plant queendom or kingdom, or dom as you speak, the green world, and to share my journey learning about connecting with nature as a healing modality and using plants to change both my inner alchemy as well as what my outer life reflects. So what we are going to learn on this channel includes a whole array of tools and skills and recipes that you can apply to yourself and your life by being your own inner engineer, by designing what your internal chemical, emotional, and thought structure looks like to then alter what your external reality looks and feels like as well. One of my favorite modalities for doing this has been plant medicine, and I'm going to share with you today a little bit about one of my favorite plants that I have here, which is rosemary, Rosmarinus officinalis. Many of you are familiar with rosemary as a culinary herb. Have you ever done that? I highly recommend that the next time that you see a rosemary bush, like as long as it's safe and you're hopefully allowed, you just run over and you give it a big hug and rub your face right in it, because it has these oils on it, the essential oils that are so fragrant and so therapeutic. Aromatherapy is real and has a scientific basis to it. This also works with other plants that are high in essential oils and terpenes, which we're going to discuss in greater depth throughout the evolution of this channel. So I adore rosemary. Rosemary often has a very stimulating effect when you, I put a necklace in here, a little bit of antique jewelry. It's an opal, I believe. I don't know if anyone knows what this is. Let me know. So rosemary is stimulating for your mental faculties. So if you find yourself at work or at home and you're having a hard time focusing and a hard time finding mental clarity, rosemary is something that I would use for that, and this is something that I use. I mean, oftentimes throughout the day, if I'm feeling stressed and can't focus, I might just, gently rub my fingers or my hand over the rosemary and get that aromatic benefit from it. It's also great to have in your home. It's an easy plant that you can grow inside during the winter. And then when I go to cook and I need fresh rosemary, I just, the thanks is in the fingertips. I pick a little piece off of there. And it's just perfect. So it uplifts you, it helps you with your memory, it stimulates that memory and that mental clarity. I feel like when connecting with rosemary on the plant spirit level, it really does imbue this sense, this invigorating feeling of connecting to myself and remembering who I am and what I'm here to do, and remembering that other people are here too, and what they go through and what they feel, and having empathy and a desire to help all people live a better life. So rosemary makes me feel of that. And again, culinary in the kitchen. You can take it as a tincture or a tea to help with your brain, with your circulation. I know it's been very helpful for me in overcoming concussion and post-concussion syndrome. It's also helpful for me with managing ADHD. I was diagnosed with that when I was about 16 after my father passed away, and I have chosen to never be medicated for that other than to use herbs and natural modalities and things like exercise and meditation and CBT to help me manage my ADHD. In my opinion, I often think about ADHD not as an attention deficit. I can, have the attention to pick up on a multitude of stimuli at any given time. It's the focus that's the challenging piece, the focus deficit. So for me, one plant that helps with that is rosemary. And it just smells beautiful and it's natural. And so I have a propensity for migraines now after being hit in a head-on collision. And I've never been a migraine or headache person before. And I prided myself with that. Like, I never understood a headache. I was like, yeah, whatever, take some ibuprofen and suck it up. But now that I've experienced migraines on what was a very regular and intense basis, including ocular migraines, now that I can empathize with that on a deeper level, I, would share with anyone who would like to hear the things that have worked for me in living with and reducing and overcoming some of the health things that I'm dealing with, such as migraines. And in light of migraines being triggered by a lot of chemical and synthetic scents, for me, what has been helpful has been to eliminate a lot of those chemical synthetic scents within my home and my self-care products, and instead to, provide myself that olfactory benefit through living plants and through more natural products. So I'm going to read to you a little bit here about rosemary, just to give you a bit more detailed information. It's also really good. It's an ingredient that is often added to things like four thieves oil or fire cider variations, and can be used for its antibacterial, antifungal, and antiviral properties, which is one of my favorite things about herbs, specifically Mediterranean herbs, is that a lot of these herbs that we cook with, garlic, thyme, sage, rosemary, basil, the list goes on, all have therapeutic value to your health, medicinal benefits on a physical level. Here at Sacred Earth Essentials, we're also talking about the spiritual aspects of plant medicine and herbalism, and how it connects. We talk about plant medicine and healing in a holistic way. If you're interested more about just the scientific evidence behind herbalism and plant-based medicine, then follow me over at Vermont Herb Shop, where I focus strictly on herbalism and on the scientific approach. So let's read a little bit about rosemary here. I'm going to try to keep these plant of the day videos under 15 minutes because I know you're all really busy, and I just kind of want to give you literally a taste of what herbalism has to offer you in your life. So this is called the Encyclopedia of Essential Oils. It's my go-to book for information on essential oils. It's by Julia Lawless, The Complete Guide to the Use of Aromatic Oils in Aromatherapy, Herbalism, Health, and Well-Being. So we're going to talk a little bit here about Rosamarina officinalis, rosemary. It's in the Lamiaceae family. And, as you can see, it's a shrubby tree. I've heard, because I've never been to the Mediterranean, that it grows much larger there in the wild. And I've seen some rosemary bushes that look, like small trees. When it's in flower, it has these small pale blue flowers that spring from the top. And the legend has it that the rosemary plant sprung the blue flowers in response to Mary spreading her blue mantle across the top of the rosemary plant. So as you learn about plants, if you're open to learning about the more spiritual, or some may call esoteric, aspects of herbalism, we're definitely diving into that here at Sacred Earth Essentials. So although it's native to the Mediterranean region, rosemary is also cultivated worldwide. I'm sure many of you know that. I think, again, it's important to mention that when using herbs, that you learn how to test for the quality of the herbs, and that you learn to pay attention to the source of those herbs, like where you're getting them from. And I think that it's important to mention that organic does make a difference, both for your own health and for the health of the planet. So some of the other herbal folk traditions associated with rosemary include that it's one of the earliest plants to be used for food, medicine, and magic, and regarded sacred in many civilizations. Sprigs of rosemary were burnt at shrines in ancient Greece. Fumigations were used in the Middle Ages to drive away evil spirits and to protect against plague and infectious illness. Rosemary has been used for a wide range of complaints, including respiratory and circulatory disorders, liver congestion, digestive and nervous complaints, muscular and rheumatic pain, skin and hair problems. One of the things that I've dealt with, and thankfully, knock on wood, hasn't happened in a while, is alopecia, where my immune system attacks my hair follicles and I lose small patches of hair on my head. And so in the past, when that's happened, my go-to remedy for that, and really just for hair thinning in general, is a rosemary scalp oil treatment. So rosemary has also been included in the British Herbal Pharmacopoeia as a specific for depressive states with general debility and indication of vascular weakness. So again, in light of story sharing, I will also disclose that rosemary has definitely been an uplifting and effective treatment for me when I feel those feelings of sadness and despondency, and I really need something to uplift my spirits that I know is natural and also has multiple benefits. Like when I'm taking or using the rosemary plant, I'm taking care of myself in a more holistic way. I can take care of things like depression and the ability to focus, while also simultaneously boosting my immune system and imbuing my body and my cells with this plant that is going to help fight infections of some kind. And I personally just think that's absolutely phenomenal and fascinating. And to combine with it the fact that there's, for me, no negative side effects to using rosemary. And so that's, again, part of my story and my experience with rosemary. And I encourage you to do your research and to have your own experience with rosemary and with other plants as well. So I'm going to describe the actions. And as I do this with each plant, you're going to become more familiar. Tu oreja va a acostumbrarse a los sonidos de este vocabulario. So your ears are going to become accustomed to the sounds of plant vocabulary, basically. Actions. Rosemary is an analgesic, antimicrobial, antioxidant, anti-rheumatic, antiseptic, antispasmodic, aphrodisiac, astringent, carminative, cephalic, cholagogue, choleretic, cicatrisant, cordial, symptophylactic, diaphoretic, digestive, diuretic, an emmenagogue, a fungicide, a hepatic, hypertensive, a nervine, parasiticide, restorative, rubefacient, stimulant for circulatory and your adrenal cortex. Hepatobiliary, it's a stomachic, a pseudophoric, and a tonic for your nervous and your overall system in general, and a vulnerary. So that's a lot of really beneficial health properties for one single plant to have. So again, this is just an introduction. When you're thinking about it or you're learning about it as an essential oil, I will also mention what the principal constituents are for the aromatherapeutic benefits and the terpenes. It has a lot of pinines, camphene, limonene, cineol, borneol, with camphorol, linalool, terpineol, octanone, boronal acetate, and others. So again, it's non-toxic and a non-irritant. When you're using the essential oil, though, you want to dilute it. You don't ever want to put it really directly on your skin, is the recommendation, or eat it directly. Please excuse my dog. As you'll see over the course of the show, Yoda's gonna probably come in and visit us occasionally. So yeah. And I will definitely do some episodes where I can just take those vocabulary words and one at a time go through their definitions and their applications with you in detail. For now, I just wanted to get some content out there and give you all the opportunity to spend some time with me and get to know me and see whether or not I'm someone that you would like to continue to learn from. So thank you very much for your time today. Again, plants of the day, Rosa Marina officinalis, Rosemary. I hope you all enjoyed this. Remember, the earth is sacred. So are you. Go in peace and be a blessing.